When I first started my Airbnb, I lost out on thousands of pounds worth of bookings in those first few months. But I could have completely avoided that if I'd have known these 12 simple things before I started. Today, I operate over 75 profitable properties, bringing in £4 million per year and hosting over 18,000 guests annually. And in this video, I'm going to show you the 12 essential lessons that'll make your Airbnb journey easy, safe, and insanely profitable from day one. To start, let me show you how to cut out the overwhelm you're feeling right now, get complete clarity, and actually get moving. And the tricky thing about starting any new business is when you first have the idea, it seems incredibly simple. But then you start researching and suddenly you're drowning in complexity. All this overwhelm is exactly why most people get stuck and never start. I bet you watched plenty of videos just like this before. Go on. What's your body count? But instead of feeling clearer, you probably end up more confused than ever. But here's the good news. This business actually is simple if you follow a clear step-by-step system. And that's exactly what I have for you right here. It's called the Never gets old. Great name and easy to remember. It's also easy to follow and it's guaranteed to keep you focused by going one step at a time. So here's how it works. First up is property. You find the right property, you validate that it's actually going to make you loads of money, you get the keys, you prepare it for guests. Simple. Next is promotion. You list your property online, set your rates, and clearly define your policies. Done. Then people. This is the fun part. Real guests arrive, pay you good money, and leave glowing 5-star reviews. After that is processes, where you build systems around cleaning, maintenance, and operations, so your business runs smoothly, like clockwork, without your constant attention. And finally, protection. You put safeguards in place to keep bad guests far away from your property, giving you complete peace of mind. Because honestly, cutting through the chaos and focusing only on the immediate step in front of you, only then can you eliminate overwhelm and actually start making real progress. I've laid out this entire framework, including guides, cheat sheets, easy to follow checklists, in my book, an Airbnb Success Blueprint, which you can get via the link below. Now, armed with this simple roadmap, with the knowledge that you only need to focus on the one thing in front of you, it's time to start building. But whether you want to build an empire, or you just want to build a little side hustle on the side, one question remains. How do you actually run this business if you're working full-time? If you're working full-time, there are things that you're going to be able to do on the go remotely, like messaging guests back and forth, accepting bookings, scheduling any maintenance issues. With regards to check-ins, you don't have to be there at the property to meet guests. You can use smart locks or a key safe and you can send the codes to the guests. You don't need to be there. But if you work during the day, the biggest things you will need help with is the cleaning. Because think about it, if you're running this business successfully, you could have a check out and a check in on the same day. Now there's ways around this. You can close off availability if you know what days you're working. If you have a check out on one day, you can close that off to arrival so that no one new can come, which means after work you can go and clean the place and have it ready for the next day. Or you can just bite the bullet and get a cleaner. Now more on that later. But if you are working full time, it's important that you just decide how much your business could make versus how much you're happy making. But how do you actually figure out how much money you're likely to make? Next, let me show you why doing market research is absolutely critical before you get started. If you were doing normal real estate or property investing, you would want to know exactly how much your property can rent out for before you buy it. And it's the same with Airbnb. It would be reckless to just throw a property on the market without having a clue about how much money you think you can make. Luckily, you don't have to do that. Please don't do that. You can do your market research in a variety of ways where you know exactly what you're going to earn from that property. You can use a tool like AirDNA where you can look at your market, look at your street and building, see what similar properties to yours generate over the year. And you can do your own free but probably more thorough qualitative research by going into your area, looking at the street, at the town, the building that you're in, looking at the competitors, the people who are already operating in that place, see how busy they are, see what they're charging, see what the reviews are like. All of this is going to help you build up a picture about just how successful your property will be when you bring it to the market. But the thing is, it's really important that when you look at these properties and you see their nightly rates, that you don't just do the quick calculation of nightly rate times 365. It just doesn't work like that. Why? Because all markets are seasonal. Be ready for busy times and also quiet times. And honestly, I've never really seen a market that isn't seasonal to some extent. Now for sure, city breaks seem to be a bit more immune to this because let's be honest, no one comes to Belfast for the weather. But still, tourists just seem to travel less in January and February. So it's important that you're aware of the seasonality and you maximize your profit in those busy months and then you learn to hustle in those quieter months. There's still guests there. The properties just just have to fight harder to get them to come and stay with them. Now, who knows, it might just dip a little bit where you are, but just be prepared. Go in with your eyes open. Now by now, the planning phase is done and it's ready to get going. Get those keys, get the place ready. How exactly do you do that, and how much should you spend? Well, the budget obviously is going to depend on the type and size of your property, but as a general rule of thumb, don't go for the most expensive thing you can find, because stuff gets damaged, broken and stolen. Go for hard wearing but replaceable items, maybe with the exception of kitchen items. Get the high quality knives, get the high quality pots and pans. If a guest wants to cook in your place, having those high quality items is really going to elevate their stay, because remember, every guest that comes to stay with you is going to compare what you're offering versus what they have at home. A blunt knife and a beat up frying pan is just a big disappointment. You're going to ruin a dinner or a lunch or a breakfast, and that's going to stick in their mind, and they're going to remember that when a review comes. For sofas and beds, it's so important that you think about comfort. Most of the time guests are in your property, they will either be in or on those things. So what else do you need? Basically everything you have in your own house, except your clothes, your kids' toys, and whatever crap it is you keep in that special drawer. And I've got a complete property checklist for everything that you're going to need that you can tick off as you go in the blueprint. But honestly, it's just going to make your shopping list so much easier. The style you go for decorating your property is of course personal preference, but please remember that you're not decorating this place for you, it's for guests. And there are two ways of looking at this. On one end, you know exactly who you're aiming this property at, and you just target it hyper focused right on them, like this place. The thing is, this place is going to be a huge turn-off to so many people, but it's also going to be highly desirable to a small amount of people, and those people are going to pay the big money. And at the other end, you can try and appeal to everyone, but end up appealing to absolutely no one, and then end up getting lost in the search results because you're offering a boring, bland, limp handshake of a property. In reality, you sort of want to be somewhere in the middle, standing out from the crowd, but still appealing to tons of guests in the Airbnb search results. Well, how do you do that? Well, you get your phone out and start taking photos like this. Stop. Of course you should not do these. These are obviously terrible. The best thing you can do is to actually get a professional to come in who knows what they're doing and can take photos like this. The thing is, high quality photos are absolutely essential if you want to get bookings. You do want bookings, don't you? You should also try and stage your property before you get the photos taken. And think carefully about this, spend time on it, because these photos will be your marketing material that you're going to be using for years to come. The cost of a professional photographer is a no-brainer investment, just like paying a little bit extra was for that good property. But if you really want to take them yourself, then have a guide on the best practice guidelines of how to take photos on your phone in the blueprint. Whatever you do, just make sure you showcase your property in its best light, and make sure you get one absolute banger. I mean a showstopper. I mean the best photo that's ever been taken of a property ever to be your first photo. Not one like this. It needs to be the best of the best, because it's going to be viewed hundreds of times every day in search results, and it needs to do all the heavy lifting to get you the click. But once someone actually has clicked on your listing, only half the work is done. Why is this? Well, it's because guests rarely open just one listing. Yours is likely going to end up in a maybe pile of tabs of 10 or more listings. Then guests actively narrow these listings down until there's one left. They get the booking. Listings that get cut usually have obvious red flags: bad reviews, poorly organized photos that fail to immediately capture the attention, or descriptions that either leave guests confused with too little information or overwhelm them with every piece of information that has ever been created. On the other hand, the listings that survive the cut and ultimately get the booking, well, they do things differently. They use their titles strategically, highlighting the property's best and most popular features. Their first 5 photos instantly showcase the property in all its best spaces, and their descriptions clearly and concisely answer all the guest questions, which removes doubt and uncertainty. And maybe most importantly, these outstanding listings have outstanding reviews. Reviews so compelling, in fact, that guests willingly pay way above market rates just to experience the property. So how do you get reviews that powerful? Well, let me show you how to earn reviews so glowing they'll make your property relatively irresistible. There is no getting away from the fact that this is not a property strategy, this is a hospitality business. And these bookings are real people coming to stay in your property. And often once they book is when the hard work starts. Some of them you'll hardly hear from. Others will be more needy than your 6-month-old baby. But all of them get asked to leave a review when they leave, so we need to ensure that we deliver exceptional customer service to them all. So answer their frequently annoying questions quickly, and also leave a guest welcome book where they can find the answers to all their problems, so they don't even need need to contact you. Make sure everything in your property is straightforward, easy to use. That means no complicated TV setups, no fancy coffee machines that you need a barista qualification to operate. And I got a full guest experience enhancement guide. Really need to work on that name of that. Full guest experience enhancement guide and a formula of how to get 5-star reviews in the bundle. But really, you just need to be over-delivering on the guests' expectations, which are already pretty high. But it's not always a case of yes sir, no sir, whatever you say sir. There are some times when you take off the hospitality hat and pick up the hospitality bat. We also have to protect our property, our business, and our relationship with our neighbours by saying no to guests sometimes. There are a significant minority of people who you do not want anywhere near your property. People coming to party, sex workers, people who blackmail you with reviews. You've got to be so careful and so streetwise about who you let into your property. There are red flags that you can look out for, like a local address or a profile photo where someone's smoking a fat one. But even by having a conversation with the guest before they arrive, you get a sense about what they're like and what they're actually coming for. Now, this skill does get developed over time, but there are very clear signs, and oftentimes people will just tell you, we're here for a stag party, we're here for my mate's 18th birthday. If you don't like what you're hearing, just say no. It's your property. You get to decide who comes in. Good house rules here also protect you. And you can send these at the time of booking just so that everyone knows what's acceptable and what isn't. And often just sending these is enough for these bad guests to think this is not the place for us and they just cancel. And I got a full vetting procedure and a house rules template in the blueprint. But what happens when someone actually does slip through the net and ends up having a ditty freak But what happens when someone does slip through the net and ends up having a big ditty freak off at your property?
What?
The benevolent Airbnb savior will swoop down on a white horse and save us, right? Airbnb's Aircover is there, but don't rely on it. Take security deposits where you feel is necessary, but 100% get your own professional insurance. Airbnb care about themselves first, their guests second, and us last. They will do anything to get out of paying us and to ensure that their guests enjoy using Airbnb, even if that means that they have created a subculture of Airbnb blackmailers. These people arrive at your property knowing that they're going to claim for compensation. They'll say things like the place smelled of smoke, or there was loads of dust, or the heating or the Wi-Fi wasn't working. All things that can't be proven or disproven in photos. And that's why having a cleaner you trust explicitly is so important. So let's compare the options of hiring a cleaner versus doing it yourself. Cleaning a property yourself means you know it's done right. It's also free, right? Wrong. Your time is valuable and you should be better used delivering good customer service for those guests to get those 5-star reviews. Sorry. But paying for cleaning, it doesn't just cost you money. It gives away control. You're trusting that this person you're potentially paying minimum wage to is going to work as hard or care as much as you. They might get $40 for cleaning the property, but you're going to get $400 for hosting the booking. It just doesn't add up. So if you're going to outsource your cleaning, make sure you find reliable, quality, and trustworthy people, and then pay them what they're worth. They are the eyes and ears of your business. They are the people on the ground, and good ones are highly valuable. Now, we've covered 12 powerful lessons here, but how do you actually put it into practice? I've mentioned my Airbnb success blueprint a few times in this video here, and in this video, I spell out exactly how powerful it is having it for your business. It's going to help you avoid making costly mistakes, ensure you maximize your profit, and stop you feeling overwhelmed and confused. See you in the next one.